Having interviewed hundreds of virtual assistants in the real estate industry and having hired a good amount of them, there's a few things that I've learned along the way that are going to save you some time and money. Because sometimes if you're not ready for that virtual assistant, it's going to set you back more than you realize. So here are 7 tips for working with real estate virtual assistants in a much better way. First things first, know what you need. Hiring a virtual assistant without you having a clear understanding of what they can do for you is a bad proposition. And it's really quite simple to identify what virtual assistants can do for you. Don't overthink it. Virtual assistants are either going to save you time or going to make you money. So spend 15 minutes writing down a list of things that you're currently doing. Really itemize what you're doing throughout the day. This could be posting on social media. This could be creating content. This could be writing contracts, whatever it is that you do. So this way you have a clear understanding what you can hand off to a virtual assistant and start working from there. Now, it's also a good practice to list out things that you wish that you were doing. In other words, is there something that's not being done right now that hiring a virtual assistant can assist you with? Again, having clarity on what you need is so vital. Tip number 2, document. If you're sending out a weekly email either to current clients or leads that you're nurturing, document how that looks. And here again, don't overcomplicate it. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Simply hop on Zoom, screen share, and then record step by step what you're doing and narrate through it. Recording one video tutorial that's going to take less than 15 minutes to do can save you hundreds of hours. Because this way, now your virtual assistant knows what you expect to be done and also knows how it's done. And by you documenting, you're being fairly precise on what you expect. This way, whenever the work is coming back for review from your virtual assistant, it's going to be done right. Number 3, protect yourself digitally. Listen, we know that there's bad actors everywhere. We as real estate agents, we know that there's some shady real estate agents that we have to do deals with. And the same thing applies here. There's a ton, and I mean a ton of highly qualified, super excellent virtual assistants out there. And a majority of them are ethical and will help you grow your real estate business. But at the same time, we have to be realist and understand that there are some bad actors out there. So when you're starting out, be very cautious on the access that you give your virtual assistants. The best practice when it comes to sharing access is to use tools like LastPass. This will allow you to share access to critical information in your organization. This allows you to share access to social media, to your email, to your calendar, and everything in between. What's even more important, it allows you to take access away whenever you need to. This way you don't have to go through and change all of your passwords every single time you have another virtual assistant start working with you. Tip number 4 is keep an improvement log. This improvement log is a place that you go to share ideas on how you could do things better. This is more of an internal process because as you're hiring virtual assistants, there's some things that you're going to learn along the way. So you're just going to start documenting and adding that to the internal improvement log. As an example, something that I overlooked early on was how I was going to handle the national holidays. Because for me, and like many real estate agents out there, we tend to work certain holidays. However, that's not a conversation that I had with my virtual assistants starting out. So it was a bit nebulous. So I needed to have that conversation ahead of time. And this improvement log also works for taking notes on your virtual assistants. This way you're documenting certain things that might come up later. As an example, if one of your virtual assistants continues to not have the type of results that you expected, you can simply go back to that log and have a summary of things that you can use as a reference point whenever you're having a conversation with your virtual assistant, either to help them improve with their overall work or to ultimately release them if it comes down to that. Number 5, track output. Now, I was going to call this particular tip tracking time. However, it's not really in line with what I actually do internally. Now, yes, you can absolutely track when somebody clocks in and when somebody clocks out. And it's going to be kind of a necessity if you're paying virtual assistants by the hour. But since our team members are on salary, it doesn't make much sense for me to do it that way. That, and I also subscribe more to the output theory as opposed to time in theory, meaning there's certain tasks and certain output that I expect from our team members every single day. And it's very evident for me to know who is pulling their weight and who is not based off of the output. So I don't ask our team members to clock in and clock out for the sake of logging how many hours they work. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with tracking hours. In fact, it's probably the wisest thing to do, but I choose not to do it that way. Now, something else you might consider is having monitoring software, which gives you the ability to see what the virtual assistant is actually seeing on their monitor. So that way you get to see if your virtual assistant is working or not. Now that too is something else that I don't do myself because I don't want to add something else for me to manage. I'm just sharing with you options on ways to track the output of your virtual assistants. Tip number 6, be just. Now I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, but just be fair. If you said you're going to pay a certain rate by a certain amount of time, then make sure that you follow through. Don't try to nickel and dime and squeeze the other individual. Just really think about how you would like to be treated, especially if you're hiring talent outside of the United States. Whether you're hiring in South America, Europe, Asia, wherever, just be fair. Now, the main reason that I included this tip is because you and I both know that we may say things differently online versus the way that we would say things in person. We tend to be a little bit colder and a little bit more direct online rather than if that individual was right in front of us. And it's so easy to do that regardless if you're the nicest person in the world. So be a human and treat other people like a human. Have empathy, which in hindsight, I probably should not have included this tip ahead of number 7, which is slow to hire, quick to fire. Now, this is something you probably already heard before, but this was something that really resonated with me when I first started my career, because I started in healthcare with a small network of compounding pharmacies, where when I started, we had about 15 employees, but within a matter of 18 months, we were over 100 employees. And I became the chief operating officer within the first few months of me working at that company, which meant that I had to do a lot of hiring myself because we certainly didn't have HR. So I learned very quickly how to methodically hire, but I also had to learn how to fire quickly. And that's something I really encourage you to do as well. Be methodical in your hiring. Line out what you want, post the position, filter out the candidates that are not a good fit, interview the applicants that you like, invite your applicants to join you on a trial basis, and then make your decision on the hiring. Don't go with the first individual that you end up speaking with. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to firing, I'm not saying fire anybody for any reason. If it's an ethical thing, that's a level 5 offense. That's something that is going to be very challenging to come back from. There you can fire on the spot. However, if it's a mistake or an error that has to do with the job itself, maybe they just didn't understand the instructions, that's not a fireable offense. That's an opportunity for you to practice empathy and also an opportunity for you to be a little bit clear on instructions. Now again, something that I learned early on in my healthcare days when I was hiring so many individuals was 3 questions. Can they do the job? Will they do the job? And will they get along? If at any point one of these 3 questions becomes a no, then it's an opportunity for them to seek employment elsewhere. Now, if you found value in this video, go ahead and comment VA down below. And if you want to check out a video on how to grow your real estate business, check out this video right here.